Courtney Glaude's The Reading is a horror film that dives into the supernatural and psychological. It stands out for its combination of psychic themes and relentless suspense. This review explores the psychological aspects, themes, and cinematic methods that make this film an eerie and extraordinary experience. The Reading focuses on Emma Leeden, a famous author recovering from a traumatic home invasion that killed her family. In search of closure, she invites a group of young psychics, led by Sky Brown, to her house for a reading. Sky's team, including her doubtful partner Greg, enters Emma's house intending to communicate with the spirits of the deceased. As they start the reading, it becomes evident that Emma's house hosts sinister forces. The psychics soon find themselves stuck in a horrifying situation where the line between life and death blurs. What began as an ordinary session turns into a terrifying event filled with secrets and revelations about the haunting. The Reading effectively uses basic psychological fears to build a story that sticks long after it ends. It explores fears of the unknown, unseen, and uncontrollable to create an atmosphere of constant terror. The fear of what we don't understand lies at the core of The Reading. The premise centers around our curiosity and dread of supernatural phenomena and what happens after death, keeping viewers anxious. Emma's secluded home adds to the feeling of being trapped. As the characters realize they can't leave and things progress beyond their comprehension, their vulnerability and fear increase. Emma is haunted not only by spirits but also by her guilt and trauma. The film explores how these feelings can appear as hauntings, blurring the lines between psychological and supernatural horror. As things get worse, paranoia sets in. The psychics start doubting one another and themselves, adding to the tension. Director Courtney Glaude uses various cinematic techniques to heighten the psychological horror of The Reading. The film's visual style is characterized by its use of shadows, subdued colors, and harsh lighting. The oppressive atmosphere of Emma's house is portrayed in great detail. Sound plays a vital role in maintaining tension. Creepy ambient noises, whispers, and sudden loud sounds keep viewers alert. The score complements the sound design with unsettling melodies and tones. The combination of sound and silence effectively creates suspenseful moments. The film's editing keeps a quick pace, using fast cuts and sudden transitions to reflect the characters' confusion and fear. This pacing method builds suspense by breaking calm moments with sudden supernatural occurrences, keeping viewers on edge. The Reading uses a mix of practical effects and CGI to create its supernatural aspects. The tangible realism added by the practical effects, especially in showing spirits, enhances the horror. The visual effects, used minimally but effectively, create shocking and memorable scenes. Glaude's directing emphasizes character development and emotional depth. Close-up shots capture the characters' fear and desperation, making their experiences feel real. This character-focused approach ensures that the audience is invested in their outcomes. Performances play a critical role in conveying the film's psychological depth and emotional intensity. The cast's performances bring authenticity to their characters' experiences. Monique's portrayal of Emma Leeden is captivating and complex. She accurately depicts Emma's trauma and determination, adding depth to the story with her range of emotions. Chastity Surreal delivers an impressive performance as Sky Brown, leader of the psychic group. Her depiction of Sky's outward calmness contrasted with inner fear creates an engaging character arc. The Reading explores several themes beyond its narrative that add meaning to the horror. The film focuses on trauma and healing through Emma's journey as she confronts past horrors. The film taps into our primal fear of unknown forces, influencing our lives through its depiction of spirits and psychic phenomena. The struggle for survival amidst haunting reflects themes of resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. The film subtly explores perception fragility, as characters' understanding of reality is challenged by their encounters with the supernatural. The Reading is a modern horror film that combines psychological depth with supernatural terror. Directed by Courtney Glaude, the film's attention to detail, strong performances, and innovative cinematic techniques make it terrifying and thought-provoking. The film's exploration of primal fears, trauma, and perception fragility ensures it leaves a lasting impression on viewers. The Reading offers an unforgettable and chilling experience for those willing to confront their deepest fears and question their perceptions of reality. Its ability to evoke deep psychological fears coupled with its fast pacing makes it a timeless piece of cinema that resonates with new generations of viewers. Whether you are a horror fan or a casual viewer, The Reading is a must-watch film. In the Hall of Horror Films, The Reading stands out as a unique and disturbing entry that continues to terrify audiences. Its symbolism, haunting atmosphere, and psychological complexities ensure that it leaves an indelible mark on its audience's psyche. I have been a fan of Monique's comedy for years, but she really blew me away with her acting ability. The Reading is a supernatural thriller that is 1 hour and 36 minutes long and is rated TV mature. This film was a pleasant surprise for me. The Southern Underworld gives it a well-deserved 5 bloody knives. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is a renowned horror film that delves into the complexity of the human psyche. The film, based on Stephen King's novel, grapples with themes of isolation, insanity, and the supernatural in a manner that is both deeply disturbing and thought-provoking. This video offers an exploration into the psychological aspects of The Shining, focusing on its themes, filmmaking techniques, and performances. The Shining's main theme centers around isolation and its impact on mental health. It follows Jack Torrance, an aspiring writer and recovering alcoholic who becomes the winter caretaker of the remote Overlook Hotel. He brings his wife Wendy and their son Danny along, hoping the solitude will fuel his muse. However, as they become more isolated due to heavy snowfall, Jack's mental stability wavers. The Overlook Hotel itself contributes significantly to this narrative of isolation. Its expansive empty halls and complex layout foster a sense of seclusion. The film effectively showcases the damaging effects of extended isolation on the human psyche, using the hotel's quietness and seemingly infinite corridors to evoke feelings of claustrophobia and paranoia. Jack Torrance's descent into madness is central to the plot. Initially excited about his job at the hotel, he soon grows frustrated due to writer's block. Nicholson's performance brilliantly captures Jack's slow deterioration into insanity. Wendy Torrance experiences isolation differently, but it is equally distressing for her character. While Jack turns hostile, she remains resilient, albeit fearful. Shelley Duvall's portrayal shows Wendy's increasing fear as she realizes her son and she are in danger, while also dealing with her husband's worsening mental state. Danny Torrance adds another layer to this narrative, with his psychic abilities known as The Shining. His visions of the hotel's violent past and his sense of an evil presence within the Overlook contribute to a constant feeling of dread. The supernatural aspects in The Shining are entwined with its psychological horror, resulting in an ambiguity that keeps viewers on edge. The film blurs the lines between reality and hallucination, leaving viewers unsure if the horrors experienced by Jack and his family are real or products of their deteriorating mental states. The Overlook Hotel has a history marred by violence and tragedy, suggesting a malevolent entity influencing Jack and Danny. Kubrick's direction amplifies this atmosphere through long tracking shots and unsettling camera angles, making the hotel feel like a psychological trap where the past and present merge. Jack's hallucinations and Danny's visions add to the psychological terror. These experiences aren't fully explained, leaving viewers questioning their nature. The cinematography is particularly notable for its use of Steadicam shots which create fluid movement and foreboding, especially in scenes following Danny riding his tricycle through the hotel corridors. Kubrick also uses lighting and color effectively to enhance the film's disturbing atmosphere. The Overlook's interiors are lit coldly, contrasting with the warm tones seen when the Torrance family first arrives. As Jack descends into madness, lighting becomes harsher while color usage intensifies fear, notably seen in the blood-filled elevator scene. The sound design in the film is key to creating suspense and unease. It uses silence, broken by abrupt, loud noises, to keep viewers on edge. Background sounds in the hotel like faint footsteps and creaking wood contribute to a spooky auditory environment. Wendy Carlos and Rachel Elkind compose the score, a mix of electronic music and classical pieces. Dissonant tones and repeating motifs generate an unsettling mood. The music amplifies the psychological horror and contributes to the film's dark tone. Ray Lovejoy's editing is accurate and intentional. Jump cuts and cross-cutting cause confusion and tension. The editing also marks time passage with title cards indicating days and hours, leading up to the inevitable end. The Shining uses a slow build-up, letting suspense rise slowly. This pacing allows viewers to fully engage with the atmosphere and characters' mental states. The controlled tempo enhances terrifying moments as audiences delve deeper into the Overlook Hotel's horrific world. The Shining delves into themes such as evil, sanity's fragility, and violence's cyclical nature. The film implies that evil isn't just external, but also part of human nature. Jack's transformation from a caring father to a crazed killer reveals his inherent darkness, suggesting that true horror resides within us all. Jack's slide into insanity shows how fragile sanity can be when faced with isolation or supernatural influences. His breakdown is shown as a slow deterioration of his mental state, worsened by the hotel's malignant presence. The movie ends with disturbing images implying that violence repeats itself at the Overlook Hotel. Each caretaker falls victim or becomes an agent of its horrors. This cycle emphasizes their unavoidable fate while enhancing the sense of impending doom. The actors' performances in The Shining add to the movie's psychological depth and terror, each bringing a unique interpretation to their roles. Jack Nicholson's portrayal of Jack Torrance is legendary. He captures the character's descent into madness with chilling intensity. His range from charming to furious to insane makes his transformation even more disturbing. Shelley Duvall's portrayal of Wendy Torrance is equally captivating, showing her vulnerability and tenacity. Her raw emotional performance reflects Wendy's increasing fear and desperation. Despite his young age during filming, Danny Lloyd delivers an impressive performance as Danny Torrance. His depiction of Danny's psychic abilities and fear adds depth and much-needed innocence to an inherently dark film. Scatman Crothers' portrayal of Dick Halloran offers a glimmer of hope amid the horror. His warm performance contrasts with the Overlook Hotel's cold atmosphere. The Shining remains a landmark in the horror genre due to its psychological depth and masterful execution. The Overlook Hotel serves as an ideal setting for this nightmare with its eerie presence and complex design. The film uses innovative cinematography, sound design, and pacing techniques that immerse viewers into a world where reality blurs with hallucinations, creating a terrifying experience. The Shining not only transcends its genre, but also offers a chilling exploration of isolation, insanity, and evil that resonates deeply with audiences long after viewing. The Shining is a drama horror that is 2 hours and 26 minutes long and is rated R. The Southern Underworld gives it 5 bloody knives. Stephen King's Pet Semetary explores the harsh truth of grief, loss, and the human desire to undo what cannot be undone. Both the original 1989 film and the 2019 remake bring this unnerving tale to life, each with its own unique flair. This video will delve into the psychological underpinnings of each movie, assess how they handle the source material, and explore their construction of a terrifying atmosphere. At the heart of Pet Semetary is the Creed family who move to a small town in Maine and discover a mysterious graveyard behind their new home. This seemingly ordinary place has the power to bring back the dead, but at an appalling cost. When tragedy strikes, they come to realize that death might be less horrifying. The 1989 version of Pet Semetary, directed by Mary Lambert, remains a cult classic for its faithful adaptation of King's novel and its eerie ambience. The film portrays both the inevitable nature of death and the terrifying consequences of attempting to interfere with it. In 2019, Kevin Kulsh and Dennis Widmeyer presented a modern reinterpretation with improved visuals and significant plot changes. Their goal was to introduce this bone-chilling story to a new audience while providing unexpected twists and turns fans familiar with the original could enjoy. Both versions plunge into the deep psychological pit of grief, fear of loss, and the extreme measures one might take to avoid accepting death's finality. Grief plays a pivotal role in both films. It pushes characters toward irrational and dangerous decisions. The portrayal of grief in Pet Semetary is raw. It shows how losing someone close can push one toward drastic measures. In Lambert's 1989 version, Louis Creed's grief is palpable and shattering. His descent into madness appears unavoidable as his initial skepticism about the cemetery's powers gradually morphs into desperate hope before ultimately plummeting into horror. The 2019 remake delves further into the psychological dimensions of grief, focusing more on the emotional turmoil of Louis and Rachel Creed. It explores Rachel's past trauma and her fear of death, adding a layer to her character that was less pronounced in the original. Both films tap into the inherent fear of the unknown and unnatural. The Semetary, with its bizarre powers, represents the ultimate unknown, death's domain and what might exist beyond it. The original film uses traditional horror techniques, gothic elements, and atmospheric tension. The unknown is depicted through a sinister forest and an ancient burial ground draped in mystery and apprehension. The remake intensifies this fear with explicit visuals and a modern horror aesthetic. It presents the burial ground in more stark detail, underscoring its otherworldly nature. Pet Semetary examines human nature at its most fundamental level, how far one might go to undo an unchangeable loss. In both films, the characters are driven by desperation to use the burial ground, despite their understanding of its dreadful consequences. The original portrays this desperation as tragically inevitable. Louis's actions are fueled by profound loss and guilt, and I found his plunge into madness both relatable and horrifying. The remake effectively portrays the characters' desperation through a faster pace, mirroring their tumultuous emotions. Louis's actions become increasingly frantic to echo his escalating grief. Both films employ unique cinematic techniques to cultivate an ambience of fear and apprehension, each successful in its distinctive way. The original Pet Semetary uses traditional horror aesthetics, including dim lighting, shadowy figures, and a subdued color scheme to provoke discomfort. Its cinematography emphasizes the confining interiors of the Creed house and the oppressive forest and burial ground. The film's authenticity and horror allure are heightened by practical effects and the sparing use of CGI. In contrast, the remake leverages modern cinematographic methods for a sleeker, visually captivating style. Dynamic camera angles, stark contrasts, and enhanced special effects all contribute to a visually stimulating yet petrifying experience. Thanks to a substantial budget, the production was able to create elaborate set designs and seamlessly integrate CGI to enhance the supernatural elements of the story. The original film's sound design is understated but impactful, featuring a chilling score by Elliot Goldenthal that complements the movie's solemn tone. Ambient sounds like rustling leaves and distant animal noises contribute to an immersive atmosphere without overshadowing the storyline. On the other hand, the remake showcases more intense contemporary sound design with Christopher Young's score, merging classic horror themes with modern elements. Sudden jarring noises coupled with unnerving silence intensify dread levels. This pronounced sound design significantly amplifies the overall tension and drama of the film. Lambert's film adopts a slow burn strategy, allowing tension and horror to gradually build up over time. This pacing facilitates an in-depth examination of the characters' emotional journeys, making their eventual fate more shattering. The narrative structure closely aligns with King's novel, preserving key story elements and themes. Conversely, the remake favors a brisk pace reflecting today's preference for immediate scares and high-intensity sequences. Despite offering fresh plot twists that surprise viewers, this accelerated pace sometimes compromises character development for suspense or shock factor. Actors' performances in both versions contribute significantly to their psychological depth and emotional resonance. Dale Midkiff effectively portrays Louis Creed's slow descent into madness. His nuanced performance allows Louis's mental deterioration to unfold gradually, making his final choices more poignant. Jason Clarke delivers an emotionally charged portrayal of Louis Creed, emphasizing the character's internal struggle and mental breakdown. Clarke's ability to convey raw emotion and desperation adds an extra dimension to Louis, making his tumble into insanity feel more immediate. In the original, Denise Crosby embodies Rachel Creed as a resilient character wrestling with past traumas, while attempting to maintain normalcy amidst escalating terror. Her nuanced performance enhances the character's depth, making her final moments resonate deeply. Amy Seimetz presents Rachel Creed in the remake with amplified vulnerability and fear. She explores deeper into Rachel's psychological scars and death anxiety. Seimetz's knack for balancing strength and fragility adds complexity to Rachel, rendering her character development more emotionally stirring. Fred Gwynn's portrayal of Judd Crandall is a highlight of the original film. His acting skillfully balances affability and wisdom with an underlying sense of foreboding. Gwynn's relatable charm renders Judd a sympathetic yet doomed figure, haunted by guilt and premonition. John Lithgow offers a distinct interpretation of Judd Crandall's character in the remake. He gives a more somber and seasoned performance that reveals a man burdened by the secrets he carries. Lithgow's acting lends gravitas and melancholy to Judd, crafting him as a complexly layered character fraught with troubles. Both versions of Pet Semetary delve into the human struggle of facing sorrow, death, and our futile attempts to control the unpredictable. The use of symbolism in each film accentuates these themes, enriching the narrative. The core theme of Pet Semetary is the harsh truth of death and the consequences of attempting to defy it. Both movies employ the burial ground as a symbol of prohibited territory and unnatural cravings, a representation of humanity's impulse to reverse the irreversible. In the 1989 adaptation, the burial ground serves as a caution against interfering with natural laws. The revived beings emerge as distorted, evil counterparts of their previous selves, emphasizing that certain boundaries should remain untouched. The 2019 revision heightens this portrayal by emphasizing the destructive power of the burial ground and its capacity to corrupt. The resurrected beings are monstrous exaggerations depicting grotesque results when one attempts to outwit death. This depiction adds a raw touch to the theme of inevitability. Both adaptations also explore how trauma affects characters like Rachel's childhood memories and Lewis's sorrow following his son's demise. In the initial film, Rachel's trauma is subtly suggested through flashbacks and her dread of death. Her sister Zelda's representation adds a terrifying aspect to her recollections, highlighting trauma's enduring impact. The remake delves further into Rachel's psychological scars, providing more context and depth to her anxieties. Zelda is depicted even more horrifically in this version, mirroring Rachel's unresolved guilt and trauma. This emphasis magnifies the emotional weight of Rachel's character progression. The perversion of innocence is another significant theme in both films, demonstrated through the Creed children's tragic destinies. In the 1989 version, Gage's resurrection epitomizes innocence corrupted at its zenith. His transformation from an innocent child into an evil being underlines defying death's horror. The remake shifts focus, concentrating on Ellie's resurrection instead of Gage's. This shift allows for a more nuanced exploration of lost innocence. Ellie's transformation and its psychological impact on her family highlight the disastrous consequences of tampering with nature's sequence. Both versions of Pet Semetary offer unique interpretations of Stephen King's eerie tale, delving into grief, loss, and human endeavors to control the uncontrollable. The original film, with its gradual pace and gothic atmosphere, has become a cult classic that encapsulates the story's tragic inevitability. The remake offers a contemporary perspective on the narrative for today's audience, intensely focusing on psychological elements. Both films effectively showcase Pet Semetary's central themes, using varied cinematic tools and performances to craft an ambiance of unyielding dread. Whether one prefers the timeless horror of the 1989 version or the contemporary intensity of the 2019 revision, both adaptations offer a chilling examination of humanity's darker facets and the horrifying aftermath of defying death. Pet Semetary remains a powerful narrative that continues to resonate with viewers, reminding us that sometimes dead is indeed better. Pet Semetary is an amazing read, and both movies are gems of equal facets. I highly recommend both versions. The original is a fantasy horror mystery that is 1 hour and 43 minutes long. It is rated R. The remake is a horror mystery thriller that is 1 hour and 40 minutes. It is also rated R. The Southern Underworld gives both versions 5 bloody knives.